happened to the unpopular or bullied girl after high school. Story 1. A girl in my year was bullied relentlessly for being odd. Unfortunately, she had a very unstable home life, and her mother suffered from fairly severe mental health issues. They had a very explosive relationship. One day, during class, she just couldn't suppress her feelings anymore. So she took a pair of scissors out of her bag and proceeded to cut off all of her hair right there at her desk. That was 8 years ago. To this day, she still lives at home with her mother and does some sort of art course at the local college. Things don't always get better for people when high school ends, but I hope she is doing okay. Story 2. The last I heard, she was living on the streets. We've actually tried to track her down a few times over the years, but she appears to have disappeared. I truly hope she's doing better now. She was a really sweet girl. Other kids would bully her for her weight, not realizing she came from an abusive foster home. Story 3. She dropped out and killed one of her bullies. Edit, I was a senior, and she was a freshman. This all happened around the last 2 weeks of school. The school didn't openly share the info, so I don't really know anymore. Story 4. She married a lovely, caring man. She worked for a number of years as a computer programmer. They traveled the world, bought a house, had a child who is now a wonderful young man. She now is a published author. I am so glad we became friends in junior high. She inspires me. Story 5. She loved animals so much, like furry level, except furries weren't a thing back then. She raises and trains bald eagles now, and is a complete, total badass. Story 6. She was bullied because she always smelled awful, had dirty clothes and greasy hair, and every time head lice was spread at the school, everyone would accuse her of being the culprit. She dropped out and got married, got pregnant, but got harassed online for being a teen mom. Then everyone found out that the reason she was always so dirty is because her mother was in prison for child abuse. She didn't know who her dad was, and her aunt, who had sole custody, made her sleep on the floor with 14 dogs and didn't let her shower. People felt really bad and tried to reach out, but she told them all to write off. She's really happy with her new family and looks like she's being the best mom. Got a job, supportive husband, and a house of their own. It's sad she couldn't continue with her education because she was so incredibly smart. We went to a really prestigious school, and she outperformed everyone, but ended up leaving without any qualifications. Story 7. She lost a lot of weight, stopped dressing emo, and became very attractive. She's got a good sense of humor and pokes fun of herself, posting old pictures on FB for fun. Story 8. One committed suicide later in her 20s. I think that had more to do with her screwed-up family than the bullying. The other is an amazing pharmaceutical scientist. I'm FB friends with her. She's still quirky, odd, and not outwardly attractive, but she is happy and living her best life. Never married, though. Has been in a very long, serious relationship, and not sure why that ended. Continues to be very happy, though. Story 9. I'm fine, outwardly. Married to a wonderful man with 2 brilliant, beautiful children. Career I can work on in placeholder fashion while the kids are young, but great potential for future developments. Internally, I'm riddled with self-doubt, anxiety, and depression. Always trying to please people, surprised that people seem to like me, and anytime I see people talking in low tones to each other, my knee reaction is to think they're talking about me. I'm 37. Bullying leaves deep, deep scars. Story 10. I was the unpopular girl. Never really fit in, had a rep for being weird but got good grades. Never really understood what made me weird until college got difficult. Eventually wanted to get checked out because it seemed like my brain was always a bit off. Got diagnosed with autism, age 21, and it explains a lot. It was just harder to see because of my gender. ASD is underdiagnosed in girls, and because I was an overachiever at school at the cost of having little ability to make friends and a lot of ability to alienate everyone in every school ID bin to girls. If you think something's up, get checked out. If I'd been diagnosed earlier, it might have helped people understand I wasn't just a batty old weirdo, and maybe my schools would have helped me. Heck, my parents might have understood me better and not just told me to get over it. It also just helps a lot, knowing it's not your fault. It's made me a happier person. Edit, I still have mental health issues stemming from inability to cope with social issues. A diagnosis isn't a cure-all, nor is it an excuse to do anything bad. It's just a means of understanding what's wrong, and leads to support and better management of conditions. Story 11, that was me. Yay, having a very sick mom with basically no income and messed up teeth meant I got bullied all of the time. I struggled with suicidal thoughts attempts, went to therapy and figured out that I needed to get away from that area to sort myself out. I went off very far away to college, graduated with my feet on the ground, found a job I love and am good at, and married the most amazing guy, oddly my crush throughout school from back home. We have a loving, middle-class life and home, and I've managed to get better looking since I got clear braces and stayed in shape, unlike my peers. All I had to do was leave to realize that their little hate bubble was all they'd ever have. Story 12, one has a life that's one disaster after another with illness and injury, one transition to male, and it all made sense. Now he's super popular and successful. Story 13, I was friends with her. All the other girls bullied her because she either wasn't feminine enough or was way too into anime. It didn't help she hung out with a bunch of nerdy dudes like me who played Magic the Gathering and Warhammer every day, instead of hang out at the beach and whole wild benders on Fridays. She found herself the victim of racism by her fellow Asian students because she came from Vietnam and was commonly insulted for it, because she was really into Japanese culture, not just anime, but the media, music, fashion, etc. She was super conscious about her teeth because she came from a poor family, divorced, raised primarily by an alcoholic mother who would soon develop severe mental problems. I mean, I love her mother a lot. She's really sweet, but she didn't really act responsibly with her children, resulting in them having really screwed up teeth with no money to fix it. She landed herself a serious boyfriend near the end of high school, a guy a few years older than her. Seeing her home situation, he decided to be her savior and got her a job at the game store next to his job. He moved out to get a cheap studio apartment where they could just live a normal life, where they didn't have to put up with the drama and stress of their families. Turns out they got too cozy with one another, and she got pregnant. She had to quit her job and became a full-time mom, was actually really good at it. The guy made an attempt to raise this kid, but it turns out he couldn't see himself living the rest of his life with this girl or being a father. He still wanted a college education, a major career path, and a more solitary life. He cheated on her while she was pregnant, but she thought it was just something that happens and he'll be more loyal once the child was born. So she didn't murder him for it. Nope, the cheating only got worse, to the point that he ended up cheating on the girl he was cheating on her with. Yeah, he was quite a piece of work. He suddenly disappeared shortly after their daughter turned 2. The overwhelming response wasn't one of anger or fear or apprehension. It was relief. Having him gone actually made her life more easy, and without him there, she got a lot of help and sympathy from her family. She moved back in with her mom, taking her daughter with her. Her brother moved back into the house too, for a little bit, just to help ensure the kid had food, supplies, and regular doctor visits. One of her old friends from high school reconnected. Turns out he was in a serious relationship with one of the girls who bullied her. The years were kind to their mentality, and without the high school environment polluting their perceptions, they ended up all becoming good friends with one another. Through them, she found herself getting invited to gatherings by these women who previously antagonized her. And when they found out she had a kid with a deadbeat dad who disappeared and doesn't pay a dime in child support, they were more than enthusiastic to help however they could. 10 years later, she's found herself a new man, a good man, and he was so enchanted by her that in a crazy lapse of impulsive judgment, put a ring on her hand without a second guess. They were going to move out, but opted to stay to care for mom as her mental state worsened. And her daughter is all grown up now. Blows my mind. She's now the same age as when I first met her mom. Looks just like her mom did at that age, a direct clone, and hasn't a bit of her father at all. Everyone my age is wrangling toddlers and attending Daniel Tiger-themed birthday parties. Meanwhile, my friend's kid joins us from Magic the Gathering, late-night arcade ventures, anime screenings, quotes the IT crowd flawlessly, and hangs out with us like one of the group. And her kid is so grown up, she insists that her mom and daddy go have date nights, that she'll cook for grandma, and watch the baseball game on TV with her. It's amazing. This kid loves her new daddy so much, she'll go out of her way to ensure he maintains a strong relationship with her mom. So, quite a turnaround. Yeah, the person who tried saving her dumped a massive liability on her and left her for selfish reasons, disappearing and refusing to pay child support. But in light of that, the people who bullied her ended up supporting her, and her liability grew up into a responsible girl whose existence allows her to have a strong relationship with her husband without a ton of worry for her own mother. Yeah, they're still struggling financially, but they're climbing. Last month, she just had her first dental appointment in 20 years, and she hated every minute of it. Sounds like a bit of long-deserved normalcy to me. Story 14, I was the bullied girl. They bullied me to suicide attempts. After school, I had a great time as a traveling musician, met my very intelligent and attractive husband, got married, purchased a house, got a dog, regularly travel, and spend time in the great outdoors, and now we're expecting our first child. The two worst bullies both have 3 kids with all different dads. One still lives with her parents, the other tends to cling on to different dudes, and them dry till they kick her, and her kids out. I ran into one of them at a wedding we had mutual connection to. She had clearly abandoned all self-care, smelled bad, and was drinking heavily. am not even mad at myself for feeling so smug as I sat there with my husband and said, I guess you peaked in high school, I deserve that after what she did to me. Story 15, she committed suicide after struggling with mental health issues nearly her whole life. Wish that I had had the courage to reach out and talk to her, rather than just ignore her and stay in my own isolated bubble. I don't know if it would have changed anything, but it would have been nice to have known her a little better than just as the girl that was always pretty odd and alone and now gone forever. She ended up being valedictorian as well. She was incredibly smart, but nobody really knew that. Story 16, she's my little sister, and she has a master's degree from a prestigious European college. Her dream job as a book editor for Random House. Expertly dyed rainbow hair, and could do a better cat eye than any professional makeup artist. High school ain't. Story 17, I refused to be in the yearbook, changed my name, cut off my hair, changed every aspect of my appearance and personality, nuked my social media, and I'm hoping that in 20 years they'll have either forgotten I existed or assume I died. Story 18, being the kid who was unpopular and bullied. I can tell you my personal experience. In high school, I was severely bullied about being short, skinny, and had some disabilities, so I was beaten up a lot. I was bullied both by students and teachers. Teachers told me that I could not get into college, said I was stupid, etc. Now I'm a freelance graphic designer and artist who owns a business, DB Art and Design, making a graphic novel series with a fan base. I also have a high-paying job and 2 college degrees. I also am a fit, strong person who does the tough mutter when not working. It may not be the coolest story, but I thought you might like it. Edit, thank you for all the love you guys gave me for this. In order to succeed, you must fight through failure. Drew Bisson. Story 19, I was the bullied one. Went through university battling depression, but made in the end, left the country, finally found a job after a long search, got bullied again by my boss, but eventually found a better job through building a good reputation and got promoted. Afterwards, still some more struggle at work and an abusive relationship that I successfully left. Now I'm very happy. I have a stable job, a great apartment, an amazing boyfriend, and wonderful friends. Life truly gets better if you stand up again and again. You'll get stronger every time. Story 20, well, there's multiple. One dropped out and had a kid with a 35-year-old. One got a good job and appears to make bank and seems super happy with her life. Really depends on the reason why they were unpopular, I guess. Story 21, simple. I reassure her everything's going to be all right because you don't need to be popular or liked in order to have a good life, especially not in high school. I told her you're likely never going to see them again, and I've known this girl for quite a while. I knew what it was like to be in her shoes and basically told her you're unpopular for your own good. And that's okay. Keep your crowd small. People don't like those who are different, but the way I see it, different is unique. Just because you're different than everyone else doesn't downgrade you. You're just a rose in a field of daisies. Being different is good, but owning it will make you feel a lot more better. We're currently running on 8 months in our relationship, and I couldn't be happier. There's nothing I want to do to make her smile. Story 22, she was bullied due to her crazy hair dye and unusual clothes. She went to beauty school, worked at a local beauty parlor for a couple of years, then opened her own place, then opened a couple more. Then she married a banker and had a couple of kids in a grand house overlooking a lake. Funny how life works sometimes. Story 23, I haven't seen her in years. She was technically popular, but the tides turned and she wasn't liked anymore. Last I saw, she had gained weight, but in a healthier way. She recognized me, but I didn't at first. Seems to have calmed down, and that's good. I'm happy for her. Story 24, killed herself. For all you bullies out there, know this: your torment doesn't end on graduation day. It lingers like a scar. Some people hold that burden for a long time until they finally just can't anymore. And in that moment, I want you to know that that person's death was seeded many years prior by you. So if you're a bully, Story 25, I'm doing quite well. Married, live in a great house, have a job I still like after 20 years there, and my kid is kind of awesome. Paul, I still hate you and would dance on your grave. I was the bullied girl. Long story short, most of my bullies are either single mothers with 3 kids in very bad relationships. Jail, were jobs where they are clearly not happy. Deadeye, however, work in a hospital, married and enjoying a simple life. It's pretty amusing seeing my old bullies turn pale as a ghost when they see me in the street, or better yet, at my job. For those that are getting bullied, my biggest advice is to focus on you and what makes you happy. Sometimes your success and personal happiness is the best fuck you. Karma is a real, and I love it. Story 26, don't know. We are having a 10-year after high school reunion in 2 months. Everyone tried finding her on social media, and over other friends, nobody knows. Story 27, this girl was bullied for being a witch and does voodoo. She bite her fingers till it bleeds, then sips it. Also, she had a crush on our gay math teacher and fantasizes about him being her Christian Grey. She posted on Facebook too. Also, she made tons of fake Facebook profiles talking about other people in our class. So yes, she was bullied for it. She started going to the gym and wearing heavy makeup and sexy outfits, even when she's in the nearby mall where everyone is just wearing simple clothes. We lived in a pretty small city. She also bragged on Facebook that she's the richest in her community college and that she's dating an Arab she met online. Also, she was kind of trending 2 months ago because she was trying to seduce an ex-boyfriend, and she didn't know she was actually talking to the current GF. The current GF pretended to be the guy and catfished her and made her way to the nearby Starbucks for 3 hours, then made fun of her. It was all over Facebook, but it was deleted. I actually felt bad for her, but she argued with me for no good reason before. I don't remember, but it was pretty childish. It seems like she was still struggling with issues that she can't overcome and that even money can't cure. She's from a rich family, but she was weird as, I wish her well though. Story 28, she married someone. They had a daughter together. Everything was looking up for her. However, she was involved in a very bad car accident where neither her husband nor their daughter survived. She ended up in a coma for a bit, and when she woke up to find out the news, she made enough recovery to the point she was able to commit suicide. Story 29, she got proposed to at the place she always wanted by me. I guess to an extent I understood why other people bullied her, but I don't think it's right. She's a wonderful and passionate person. Bullying someone because they're passionate about different things than you is absurd. Story 30, everybody all of a sudden wants to get with me, even though in school I was a fat cow ugly piece of among many more creative names. Funny how that works. Story 31 of her. What's worse is that I was homeschooled after running away from a cult, then marrying and divorcing young. I am now in my early 30s in a loving relationship with a wonderful man, working an awesome job in a Fortune 500 company, no contact with my immediate family or the horrible church people who bullied me. Story 32, I was actually fine in high school. It was when I got to university that I got into a popular girl I went to high school with went to the same university as me, attached herself to the group of friends I had made, and then went full mean girls on me until they basically decided I was a horrible person. It was some bullshit, I can tell you that much. Now I'm mostly content with my life. I write about dicks for a living. I've got good friends and a solid DD group. And my love life is, passable. No complaints, put it that way. Story 33, she is doing amazing. I recently got back in touch with her, and she is currently working on her doctorate in piano. She sent me a video of her playing. Wow. Story 34, she's a Satanist now. She's studying sound engineering. She's actually getting married on Halloween this year. I know her account. She's the sweetest girl you'll ever meet. Just look past the Satanist part. Story 35, there was a pretty unpopular girl at my school. She used a cake on makeup and looked kind of like Mimi from the Drew Carey show in that respect. No real bullying. My school didn't really tolerate bullying. I caught some from a guy freshman year, and literally everybody in the room called him out, and I don't know, bullies shamed him. Anyway, I ended up in a problem with her because I wasn't intending to go, and her boyfriend backed out last minute and broke up with her, and she didn't want to waste the tickets, had a decent time. We were only ever casual friends. Anyway, she became a physician's assistant and joined the Army. Then after a few years, she went to the Uniformed Services University for Health Sciences and got her MD. Now she's a lieutenant commander in the PHS. Story 36, speaking as the unpopular bully girl. You get a good job and achieve more and earn more than your bullies, but the damage their bullying did leaves you with crippling depression that even therapy has trouble dealing with, so you're unable to enjoy anything you accomplish, and praise feels hollow due to you feeling so used to being undermined. Story 37, eating disorders, toxic relationships, early pregnancies, jobs, depression, anxiety, substance abuse. Occasionally the will to stand up and say nope, not me, not anymore, and the hope and prayer that someone somewhere will help you, because in reality, it's not worth cutting every other human out of your life because you're bitter and want to prove you're strong. But you got to be selective and spend a lot more time alone and depending on yourself, and stop confiding in people before you truly know them, or maybe that's all just me, currently in the hope and pray stage. Story 38, suffering CPTSD for her childhood torments and dysfunctional family home dynamics. She's currently married, raising 2 small kids, and gainfully employed while trying to stave off a mental breakdown. Therapy and love have kept her toes back from the ledge. Story 39 in HS. She had a large nose, and a flat. She was my friend and hung out with us during lunch and sporting events. Never truly fit in, but we all liked her. Turns out she was a late bloomer and grew some beautiful breasts, filled in those hips and grew, and she got a nose job while in her 20s and is definitely a hottie. Sadly, she developed the worst bitchy attitude and openly spouts off on her FB like, to all my haters, too bad you missed out on this. Posting tons of sexy shots, Selfies in any mirror she finds and duck face is part of the norm with her. I didn't care until she made a post how she didn't have a single friend in HS. I PM'd her asking what I was or our group of friends to her, if not that. She told me we were never friends back then. Only tolerated her. That pissed me off, but I remained her friend. Still, she posted more BS. More often than not, a post of hers will refer to how she was bullied in HS and how she rose above it and left it all behind her. You're still posting about that 17 years later. She married some wealthy Persian guy, had 2 kids, but is still posting pics in her 30s, as if we all can't see through the crow's feet, sagging breasts and stretch marks in her poolside shots. I defriended her years ago, along with most of my HS class. Edit if you want to downvote me, fine. I stand by what I said. Story 40, she earned 2 bachelor's degrees, is finishing her master in civil engineering with a great job already lined up. She's in a committed relationship and as happy as can be. Story 41. That was me presently working and living abroad, planning to do my master's in a couple years, and somehow managed to find a whole ton of self-confidence somewhere along the way. I got a long way to go with my life before I'm satisfied with it. But I'm satisfied with me. Story 42. I can answer this as both the unpopular and bullied girl. I'm currently 20, but throughout all my years in school, I dealt with insane amounts of bullying. They'll be honest and admit that there were plenty of points in early high school that it got to the point of being pretty suicidal and self-harming. I do all my good moments that kept me around to my 3 best friends, and my fine arts English teacher, to explain how bad the bullying really was. I was elected homecoming court as a joke. Pants got stolen and drawn on with red marker, and put back in my bag during gym class unbeknownst to me. Notes in my locker, etc. Just really bad. I was considered ugly and odd-looking, and made fun of for that as well, which has left me insanely insecure with myself even now, and dealing with an eating disorder brought on by the constant bullying for my weight. Anyways, I ended up glowing up once I got out of high school, focusing on learning makeup and fashion, and learning that, hey, maybe these features that aren't stereotypically white aren't so bad. I also got help with my eating disorder and self-harm, and I can walk with short sleeves now. I live a pretty normal life. Although, strangely enough, I've been told I would make a really good model because of the looks I was bullied so much for. That still is something I have a hard time accepting because I honestly don't like how I look still, but looks aside, I want to help others who struggle in the same way as I do, especially children. If I could offer any advice to anyone who is dealing with what I did, please know it does get better. High school isn't forever, and I promise, since this was an issue I struggled with and still do, someone will think you're the most beautiful sunflower in a field of daisies, I promise. Story 43. At my school, the girl committed suicide before she even reached senior year. I didn't know her very well at all because she was a couple grades lower than me, and in HS and stuff that might as well be a 30-year age gap. So I can't say I was super emotionally affected, but I did feel bad because obviously to get to that point, there's got to be a lot going on both in school and at home. It'd make me reevaluate how I treat people, but I hung with the band and theater geeks, and we had people running around shouting about yaoi and wearing Juggalo ICP stuff, so we were already a pretty laid-back group. The general population and admin of school tried to absolve themselves of some of the guilt they must have felt by having some tributes and other stuff during class's morning announcements. It was hollow and smacked of self-deflection, especially when so many people came out about how great the girl was and etc. And how they'd miss her when she really only had one close friend who was absolutely and rightfully heartbroken by it all. Amazing how quickly people's shitty tunes change when something like that happens, only for them to go right back to their same old ways after they've gotten all the attention they can milk from being completely tertiary and unrelated to the situation. Just sad. She'd probably be in her early 30s now, and who knows what she'd be doing. She never got a chance to find out. Sometimes I wonder if the people who singled her out and bullied her feel guilty, but I know they probably don't even think they did anything out of the ordinary for high schoolers at the time. Which is BS because most normal HS students don't need to bully other people to get through the day. Story 44. Oh hey, that's me. I worked different jobs for quite a few years after high school and ended up marrying my middle school high school sweetheart and traveled the world with him because of his job. We're settled for now in Germany. It's so beautiful here. I taught myself makeup, no more thick black eyeliner and super pale powder for me. And I'm slowly starting my YouTube channel, so I think I turned out pretty well so far considering my beginnings. Story 45. Hi, I'm that girl. I'm only out of high school a few years now, but things are getting a little better. Immediately after high school ended was complete and utter, but am now living with my boyfriend, go to work, supporting myself, being a real adult, and living my life. For context, I was bullied BC, I was fat, when in reality, I was sickly thin 56 weighing 110. I was bullied BC, I self-harmed. I was bullied. BC girls were jealous of the boys I dated, but what no one knew was I had a terrible home life and severe mental illnesses and went through some major traumas back to back my entire freshman year. I ended up going into residential homes for most of high school. I was bullied. BC. I was the weird new girl. So on the off chance any kid still in school are reading this, give that unpopular weird girl the benefit of the doubt. If she isn't being A to you or anyone else, leave her alone. You never know what anyone's going through. And I can't tell you the amount of times I have full breakdowns in the bathrooms at school because of being bullied so badly. Story 46. So I can think of 3 girls that fit this category. They transferred in and were decently good looking and easy. They were character assassinated well. It isn't like any lies were told by the incumbent faction of local girls, and eventually none of the normal dudes would date them publicly anyway. They all got knocked up by some random dude after high school and subsequently married them. Their lives don't look awful, although I wouldn't call them glamorous either. One ended up being a nurse and posts a bunch of drama. One sells Scentsy constantly on the internet. No one ended up on heroin, though. As far as the stereotypical chubby acne-ridden girl that's bullied by the pretty cheerleaders and like a butterfly emerges as the most beautiful in adulthood, my school never really had bullying of the variety that I see in media like TV shows, movies, and in stories from places like Reddit. I don't know what it was, but people just weren't that awful to each other. We also had a lot of social group overlapping. The jocks hung out with the kids to some extent, and there were quite a few kids that fit into both groups. Same thing for geeks, and the ones that didn't overlap weren't really bothered. If anything, people would go out of their way to try to bother them into being more social. I'm not saying bullying doesn't exist, just that for some reason my cohort didn't really ever seem to stoop to it. Story 47, there weren't really any bullied girls in my grade that I can think of, at least not on the surface, but certainly some unpopular ones. No idea what happened to them because they didn't have Facebook and I moved away from town when I graduated. I hope they're doing well. Just because they weren't super popular doesn't mean they were bad kids. Most of them were really nice, actually. Story 48, I work hard and take care of my husband and kids, just doing what I can to make life better. It's all how you make it. You just can't let the past affect the rest of your life. Story 49, unpopular bullied girl here. Still get comments from others making fun of me for being a scene kid here, and there are a lot of guys that used to bully me. Try hitting me up now too. It's weird. Anyway, after high school, I went to art college for graphic design, became a huge stoner, did Molly and acid a few times, made a few groups of friends. Graduated college, I work 9 to 5 now, as designer for a print shop. My life is pretty boring. I don't do drugs anymore either. I mostly just hang out with my boyfriend and work, but it's better than being bullied for being seen and liking anime. Story 50, the bullied girl was my best friend. She has an IQ of 154. She also has autism and is a lesbian. She's doing well. She graduated magna laude from university and lives in a great city. Story 51, oh hey, that was me. So after high school, I joined the military and got the out of town to earn college money and stuff, as people tend to join the military to do. After a few years, I got out. I married one of my sergeants, had a few babies, got an engineering degree, and then another, yes, in that order, sort of. The babies kind of staggered themselves around the degrees. Then I divorced that guy after 11 years, finished my PhD, and moved to a city I've always wanted to live in to work as a research engineer. Shortly after moving here, I met an awesome guy at work who's just as nerdy as me. Then we fell in love over the course of a couple years, bought a super cute house, and all that other adulty stuff. It's coming up on 20 years post-graduation, and I kept in touch with nobody from back then. I don't intend to go to the reunion. Story 52 wasn't bullied too much, but I was definitely the unpopular girl that was so depressed I'd skip school once a week. I moved out after I graduated, left my family behind for so that has supported me through everything, got a well-paying job. We rent a house in a great neighborhood. Just bought a brand new car this year. We have 3 cats and no kids, and I plan on keeping that way. My family, with the exception of my sisters, don't talk to me anymore, but I'm doing better without them. Still have my weird high school friends too. Story 53, I'm happily married, expecting my firstborn son, and am loving life, and my bully, seriously dating one of my brothers. She made bomb cupcakes for my baby shower. Story 54, she transitioned to he, went to school for IT, I think, and married his high school sweetheart who was the second most bullied girl in school. They both now work and live at Disney in Florida and seem very happy. Story 55, she went on to become a bullied adult. High school bullying is nothing compared to workplace bullying. It's rampant and mean girls get away with it all the time. However, she did manage 2 kids, a divorce, addict stepchildren, and aging parents before losing her emotional health and retiring early. Story 56, murdered by her newlywed husband who was sentenced to life in prison. Really sad because she didn't deserve to be bullied and definitely didn't deserve to die. She was a sweet girl, just socially awkward. Story 57, suicide. It takes absolutely no effort to not talk to someone you don't like. So why harass people? She's my girlfriend, not from my high school because she's 6 years younger than me. But my girlfriend got a lot of in high school and turned out to be an incredibly smart and sweet woman. The people that bullied her still live in their hometown and all hang out together 20-odd years later. What a bunch of douches. Story 58, I was that girl. I am autistic and I have PCOS, which causes weight gain and male pattern facial hair. And these two things are largely what my bullying stemmed from. The bullying for the former started in kindergarten, and the bullying for the latter started when I hit puberty, around 10 years old. It was relentless until I graduated and became a recluse. I continue having no friends, struggle with suicidal ideation and PTSD flashbacks on certain trigger words and phrases, have no social skills, and severe agoraphobia. I have panic attacks related to schools, even walking by them. I struggle with self-care and the thought that I deserve anything nice, including basic health care. I have not been in a relationship for years and do not feel like I deserve one. I am not in therapy because I cannot afford it and disability refuses to cover it. I have a tumor growing in my uterus. It is exacerbated by my PCOS's hormonal imbalance and stress, and trying to be better and change my thinking. But it all feels so hopeless sometimes. I cannot remember a time when I was truly happy, because every moment in my memory is marred by bullying, taunting, self-hatred, and shame for things I cannot control. It's a miserable existence.